Thank you, Van. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I want to thank Virtue Insight for giving me the opportunity to do this presentation on, I think, an exciting topic from the US FDA, eSTAR. We have quite a bit of slides to go over. Some slides I will go faster than others. The latter part of the presentation will be more on the actual eSTAR PDF template screenshots. With some features shown, so you guys have a better appreciation of the amount of work FDA's put into this template. And the whole concept here with eSTAR is reduce the RTA. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but RTA stands for refuse to accept as far as the US FDA review on medical device 510Ks. Okay, so I'll go over to the next slide. This is the agenda for the day, quite a chock full of topics, but I felt that to do the justice to this webinar on eSTAR, I was inclined not to assume that everybody's familiar with medical devices or 510K definitions from the US FDA. So I'm going through it very quickly, just to get us on even plane, so to speak. And then we'll shift over to the actual topic for the day, which is the eSTAR tool. Okay. As I mentioned, RTA stands for refuse to accept. This is also known as the acceptance review from the US FDA. This is the first stage of a two-stage process. US FDA reviewer sits to look at all the documents are compiled, collected, presented properly. And then, of course, they send you a notification that they're now ready to start the clock to review, and that's when they switch over to what's known as substantive review, which is actually looking at your compilation submitted to make sure that you have chosen the right predicate device and that you have sufficient data to prove substantial equivalence, which is the whole essence of the predicate device, right? The whole essence of substantial equivalence is that you are referencing your submitted device against an existing legally marketed gizmo in the US, and that the gizmo of yours is similar in intended use and technology, or if it's similar only to the intended use, different technology, you've done enough work to provide the FDA with evidence that although your technology varies a bit or varies more, you have sufficient data to prove that safety and efficacy has not been compromised in any way. For the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to focus on traditional and abbreviated 510Ks. Both are more or less the same in terms of sections and contents, which we will go over shortly. A few words about FDA Smart, and we're primarily, as pointing out here, a US FDA submission consultancy company. Quality auditor expert. We are going to be adding more topics to this. So what we do is we mine the US FDA website content. We don't edit or reformat it. We migrate the content to Office 365 SharePoint, and thereby rendering it so much more advanced searchable. And then we add the other out-of-the-box features that Microsoft SharePoint gives us, such as when you do a search, you're now able to tag one search hit result and manage that as a work assignment to be assigned to whoever, start date, end date, so on and so forth. So a few links at the very end of this presentation. I encourage you to click those and have a look. I also have a pre-recorded video demo of a prior showing that we did. So we start with medical device. What is a medical device? A medical device is defined by the US FDA are the following. This is the primary definition. Okay, so it's intended for diagnosis of disease, other world will focus on what is the intended use or indications of your product, and thereafter make sure that your device also meets the definitions, and you proceed from that on to go for your 510K submissions, assuming it is a Class 2. This slide shows the 3 different classes that the FDA categorizes devices with some sample gizmos here. Class 1 being the least risk to the human body, so to speak, but still requiring the firm that's applying the tongue depressors and bandages to be drug establishment registered and listed with the US FDA. So that's what's known as general control. Very light controls list with the FDA are now official, so on and so forth. Class 2, medium risk. This is where most of the 510Ks are submitted from, all right? And they include what's known as special controls. And special controls take into consideration things such as performance standards, post-market surveillance data, patient registries, special labeling requirements, and so on. Class 3, the most or highest risk. This requires a pre-market approval, sort of starting from scratch. There's no, unlike Class 2, picking close to your device equivalent and proving that it is, in fact, as safe and efficacious as that reference. This starts from scratch and quite a lot of work involved in a pre-market approval. So what's the essence of a 510K? When the FDA determines that a new device is substantially equivalent to a legally marketed predicate device, that device is classified into the same class and subject to the same regulations as the predicate device. So you pick a gizmo that's out there legally marketed, all of a sudden your device is the same as that device in terms of class, in terms of product code, in terms of the regulations that are involved in marketing here in the United States. The US FDA requires 90 days prior to legally marketing any device prior to being marketed here before. And we'll go over a little bit more about the workflow, timeline, scheduling in following coming up slides here. Very busy flow chart. I'm not going to go over this. We really don't have that sort of time, but since you have copies of the presentation, I encourage you to go over this because this is essentially the method that a US FDA reviewer sits down at CDRH in the FDA division and sorts out piece by piece, leading up to the determination of whether your device is substantially equivalent or not, right? One note, substantial equivalence does not mean identical. So, whole different story here. Substantial equivalent just says, show us it's as close and functions and purpose as an existing device. It does not have to be identical, obviously, or the number of devices in the market will be severely limited. This is the workflow that the US FDA goes with. Starts from day one when you submit the documentation for your 510K. Clock goes on from there. And within 15 days, assuming the refuse to accept review, meaning that everything the FDA expects you gave and complete, then they will issue a within 15-day notice saying, hey, the clock has started on your behalf. That's when the substantive review starts, which is the scientific, technology, and the equivalence determination. And by day 90, it sends a final decision whether, you will have cleared the substantial equivalent test or not. Interesting graphics here. The green line up here shows that between year 2001 to 2020, the lowest rate that substantial equivalence was granted was 74%, which is actually pretty good. So it went from 83 down to 74, maxes at 89%. And then the bottom here, it shows the opposite, which is those submissions that after the US FDA review have failed substantial equivalence. And you'll notice that peaks at 8%. Interestingly enough, I don't know how the FDA figured this out, but since these are diametrically opposite, I thought 74 ought to add to 6 for 100%. This goes 102%, so I'm not sure if the FDA figured that one out. Another interesting graphics here, and the point I want to make is in the middle. It shows that the number of submissions not accepted was 1,077 in this time period, 2018. And that acceptance rate is out of a total reviewed of 3445, which translates to about 31%. So 31% is a key figure here that failed the initial review, the administrative refused to accept review. And that is the heart of what eSTAR is attempting to reduce. All right. So that's quite essential to the topic of eSTAR. These are prerequisites that you must have. You can easily, and I'll show you the link later on, you can easily download eSTAR now from the FDA website. It's merely a PDF template. It's an XFA secure with digital certificate issued by the FDA type, so you can't edit or muck with it. And I have a slide to show the error message that happens when you attempt to do that. But the point is, for any device submitter, right, by the time you get to eSTAR, you ought to have all these collected, compiled, verified, assembled, and so on. So eSTAR is not a magic wand. It will not do all the work for you that leads up to the submission. It is a construction template, okay, versus a submission template. Next few slides, for those that are not very savvy with the 510K process, I thought I'll just list for you in a table format the different sections that are necessary, and there's 3 of these, up to about 20. Okay. So, for example, a medical cover sheet, and the slides, I believe, even if they're PDF format, will be link enabled also. So if you're working on the cover sheet part of it, clicking this link actually brings you to the US FDA site that covers that topic. So very handy set of slides to have if you guys are looking into doing your first 510K or just getting some assistance. Sorry. Okay. Can you see the slides? We're back, I hope. All right, so it goes on down the list. Each one of these, I'll click enable. I encourage you to go through them. This one is interesting. It's a declaration of conformity, and I point this out because in the eSTAR template, we actually are going to be showing a page. The eSTAR template is about 21 pages in total, but they've done a marvelous job of actually presenting to you the standards in a drop-down list to go with. So we go to the main topic here, eSTAR. Note the caution here. Use of eSTAR does not change any of these requirements. You're still obligated to go through and make sure these are all available as they pertain to your devices. Obviously, they will vary whether it's for this gizmo or that gizmo, but not a substitute for or a change in the regulations for the FDA. It's a PDF template, like I mentioned. It's in a Adobe XFA. It's XML forms architecture based. It will guide you through the process. And the main benefits are automation, interactive form construction, autofilling. This is complementary. This is very important. This is actually very similar, if not the same almost, and I have yet to determine that, with the CDRH US FDA reviewers. So if you've gone through the eSTAR process, more or less that is the template that the US FDA reviewer is going to work with. And so by doing so, they hope to reduce the RTAs who refuse to accept rates. They also have done a great job integrating guidances and so on. Okay, this is the link that will actually, when clicked, bring you to the FDA's website to download. So it gives you a little cautionary warning here. You have to have Adobe Reader 8 or higher. If you don't have Adobe Acrobat Reader 8.0, you'll get some nasty messages like this one here. All right, and some suggestions in the Adobe website, I believe, on how to remedy XFA issues. So these next two slides are from the US FDA itself. The points I wish to make are that this is a fresh out of the oven from the FDA, a 1-year pilot, and it's now rolled out in production. It has replaced eSubmitter, which was a tool that they had, a pilot that they had prior to this. Another key is that because the template is so very similar, if not identical to what US FDA reviewers work with, there is no RTA review. So by the time you complete an eSTAR, and I'll show you that in the eSTAR slide, it will indicate status eSTAR completed. You can rest assured you passed that first hurdle of administrative review from the FDA. Now, obviously, the second stage of review is a whole different ballgame. And here's where the FDA is making the point that it mirrors the SMART template, okay? Works on mobiles as well. It's free from the FDA. And another key point, it was built 100% by ex-reviewers, not IT weenie. Well, no offense to ITs, we are also an IT company, but no offense to IT weenies. It was built by US FDA reviewers. So a lot of thought, a lot of planning has gone into it, and hopefully it'll lead to a successful efficiency improvement in terms of medical device reviews by the FDA. I wanted to make sure before I did the presentation that indeed the pilot was complete, and this is now open to the wide public, and this is the response. It confirms what I just indicated. FDA is no longer accepting submissions with eSubmitter, the prior tool. eSTAR has completely replaced it. And this is from the FDA itself, CDRH. So a STAR is born. Next series of slides are going to be showing you actual template screenshots from eSTAR. So when you launch eSTAR, you see a PDF document. Just like any PDF document, it'll have bookmarks, and it'll have 21 pages that you can scour as though it was just a normal PDF document, with one difference. It will have rich set of features such as blue help text. When you click a blue button like this one right here, it will pop up help text. It gives you color-coded warnings on certain fields that require entry and you have not completed in whatever fashion, and so on. So we'll go through a few slides and I'll point out a few advanced features. This was the nasty error message I spoke about. So if you try to, since we're so familiar with PDF, you try to click Tools Edit and try to muck with this form, you'll get a nasty little error that says this. So it's a secure, digitally certificated form. And for obvious reasons, the FDA doesn't want people to mess around with it, although it is in a very common format that I'll work with every day, a PDF format. So this is an enlarged screen from the one I showed you. When you launch eSTAR, you get this message that says status eSTAR complete, gives you a little thing about introductions. And guys, be careful. There are two types of template. This is the for non-in vitro diagnostic. There is one for in vitro diagnostic. Take a note of the version. Make sure you're working with the most appropriate version. What's disappointing with the FDA, and I've confirmed this with them, is that they don't have standalone user guide or manual. So the reason they give me for that when I queried was that, look, so it's so obvious, we are holding your hands, we're giving you instructions. What's the point of a standalone user manual? I thought it would still be very useful to have something like that. This is one of the screens that talk about application type. And what happens is when you click Show Application Introduction, it'll pop up a wonderful series of dialogue or text with embedded links that explains, okay, this is what a 510K application is. Traditional, this is what an abbreviated type of 510K, this is what a special type of 510K. So it's a very long, informational type thing with link, click enabled text here that you can click into the USFD's website also. Let's see, on this one, I wanted to show the consensus standards, right? So this is a page out of the 21 pages of the template. But this one is very interesting because when you click Add Standard, this button, it actually gives you a list in the drop-down of all the standards available. That's all available on the website also, but they conveniently package it for us in a drop-down. You get to pick the type, and then actually also confirms the standard here with the inquiry of whether you want to use this as a general referencing or actually for a declaration of conformity. A declaration of conformity is shown here when you click that you wish to use it as a declaration of conformity, because this drop down here is going to have either the keyword general or the keyword declaring conformity to it. If I click declaring conformity to it, this little dialog pops up, right? So very user-friendly, walks you through things. It's quite a marvelous tool, actually, based on what we've done in the past where this eSTAR was not yet available. And the rest of the slides here, screenshots, I don't have a lot to say. I would encourage you once again to go to the slide with that link to download and play with it. It's 21 pages of screens like these. You can poke around, take a look at what's there, but all obviously pointing to the fact that those 3 slide tables of requirements, these guys, what you're trying to be working with in that template. Okay, this is another nice one. I picked this one because it has a cute feature. So one of the things you need to do for a device is the classification, right? So class 1, 2, 3, and medical specialty, and the classification product code determines the regulations that the FDA uses. And all the medical specialty panels are actually in this drop-down box. Depending on what you pick, it'll give you additional information to each one of these dialogues. Very interesting page in the PDF. This one I included just to show you the level of extent that pops up when I click on the prior slide, when I click help, this guy right here, when I click this whole dialog pops up. The PDF screens continue further down the pages from page 1 to 21. And I did not capture all of them. I thought since you can download it, feel free to have a look at the entire 21 pages, page by page. Here's the section that addresses predicate and reference device labeling, as you can imagine. Very, very much in the heart of intended use and indications to your predicate device. On software. And again, note, and I want to emphasize at this time, one of the FDA slides, the 2 slides that I showed you earlier, actually makes a note of it, but I'm going to stress at this point, eSTAR is not available for e-submission. In other words, you cannot submit this to the electronic gateway, submission gateway, ESG of the US FDA for the time being. After completing eSTAR PDF with all the attachments, one has to do snail mail on this one. You have to package it up in either a CD, DVD, USB drive, print cover letter, send it to the appropriate address, but there are plans to incorporate this within the electronic submission gateway of the FDA. This just reiterates what I tell you on this. So, and this actually is out of the eStart template. Okay, this is out of the website in the FDA. A few words about GXP SharePoint, one of the tools that we have developed, and I encourage you to look at some of these links. The inspiration for this technology from FDA Smart is an article I did for Express Pharma, which is click enabled here. This shows you a demo. And basically, guys, what this is we mine the US FDA website, for example, 21 CFR Part 211, and allow you now to search in an advanced fashion, very much like SQL. So the granularity search turns out, and you can check it out by going to the actual website and test the same. Go find in this US FDA website any statute on Part 211 where batch and equipment and clean or calibrate a reference. I want to know the 211 statutes that address these. It's very messy at the website. So what we did was we collected, mined those, made them as lists in SharePoint within the cloud. We are a Microsoft partner, and allowed you to do not only advanced searches, but actually on a search result, toggle an action item where it creates Microsoft SharePoint task lists for you, including who you can assign the job to, the start date, percent completion, and the whole works.
Mr. Ram.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Last 5 more minutes. Just want to give you a heads up.
Yeah, this is the last slide, so we're doing good. Like I said, eSTAR template starts with, I want to stress the message so you guys are well aware of it. It starts with this. eSTAR is incomplete, and it will not shift to this until your eSTAR attachments, your responses, your additions, wherever it's required, will not change to eSTAR complete. So there is a built-in validation, is the message here. Wonderful job from the FDA. Again, I stress that with the RTAs being eliminated more or less, I think we have now the ability to make the 510K even more efficient. And stressing, this is not a magic wand. So like we say in IT, garbage in, garbage out, the same applies to eSTAR. And with that, guys, I thank you. I am completely done with the presentation. So Fen, do we have time for Q&A?
Yeah, that's fine. There is one question from Dilip Shivale. Do you see a Q&A tab on the? You can minimize the screen. Go back to the.
Go back to the platform?
Yes, please.
Okay, 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, on the right side, you can see the question there. Any information?
Any information on the Brexit effect on IVDRs would be helpful. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That is unknown to me at this point. Any information on the Brexit effect on IVDRs would be helpful. Are you, Dilip, are you asking what the effect would be if one were to submit using eSTAR? Is that what your question is?
Hi, Dilip. If you'd like to get on stage, just click on raise hand so that I can bring you on stage. You can have a quick discussion with Ram. Or you can respond to his question if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm unclear as to your question.
Dilip, right next to the Q&A tab, there is raise hands. You can choose that option if you'd like to get on stage, or if you could just tell Ram on what you're exactly looking for.
But he has to be unmuted, no?
As an organizer host, I have the option. He has to just choose the option raise hands so that I can bring him onto the stage.
Can you, is this on eStart, is this?
Yes, I do have a raise hand. Okay. I did have a raise hand for a second, but now it's gone.
Yeah, I'm unclear as to whether it's on Brexit he's asking in general or.
Okay, yeah, his answer is in general, he's asking.
Okay, so can we have a dialogue with him? Is he? Can you put him online?
Yeah, for which he needs to choose raise hands. Dilip, can you choose raise hands, please? I can bring you on stage. Maybe he's not in a position to come on. Okay, yeah, I think he has. He should join you in a second.
Good, I see him coming on.
Hi, Dilip, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dilip, can you hear me?
Yeah, Ram.
Okay, so are you asking the effect of IVDR submissions on Brexit in general, or the effect of IVDRs using eSTAR? I'm not clear.
No, I was just inquisitive. If you could, give some information in general, because as you know that right from Jan 2021,
Correct.
the MDR regulations have become more stringent, where class 3, class 4, class 5 devices have been merged to class 3, especially has been merged to class 2. So I thought, if you have any information about that, or
I
what
can,
would be the effect
I can
from
follow
the
up
Europe
with you. I
perspective,
am going
because
to.
510K PMA.
We can certainly help, but it's something that we need to look into. I don't have an answer for you offhand. So Dilip, are you still there? Did we lose him?
Yeah. What's the number?
Yes, he's there. Dilip, Ram has shared his contact coordinations with you.
Yeah. Dilip, please email me at this email address or WhatsApp me into your mobile and give me the specific question with some details so I can have it looked into.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Next, yeah, that's perfect, Ram. Thank you, Dilip. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Ram. Thank you once again for your time. Really appreciate that. I think we can go back to the next session now, and it was a pleasure having you on board once again. We'll touch base once again after the conference. Yeah.
Next one. No, this is done. Yeah?
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.